prolonged now. Okay, now I have left prolonged labor management previously. Okay, what I have told you, you understand now in the previous class. Okay, now prolonged labor management. As I told you, the see, concentrate on what I'm saying. Okay, as I told you, the prolonged labor is divided into latent and active phase. In the latent phase, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to do anything. You just have to wait and watch, and give analgesia to the patient and comfort, so that if there is a first labor, it will go, it will subside. But if the latent labor will shift to the active labor, the patient will goes in labor and the dilatation increases. If it is in the latent phase, it is 0 to 3 centimeter dilatation, and in active phase it is from 3 centimeter to 10 centimeter dilatation for the first stage of labor. So in the latent phase prolonged, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to do any cesarean or not to augment the labor. Nothing you have to do. Just give analgesia, comfort to the patient. Sometime when it is more than 18 to 20 hours, you have to watch for the fetal heart rate and the fetal movements. So because sometimes there is, because of the hypoglycemia and hypoxia, meconium baby may pass meconium. Okay, but it's very rare. So in that in the latent phase, you don't have to do anything. So how you will prevent prolonged labor? You have to antenatal or early antenatal detection. How you will detect? By rule out CPD. You have to do pelvic assessment, and I have told you previously, you have to do pelvic assessment to, if the patient is cephalopelvic disproportion or contracted pelvis, you don't have to give trial to the patient. Use partograph for the monitoring, strict monitoring for the progress of labor. Selective and injudicious augmentation means sometime early use of oxytocin may cause prolonged labor and lead to cesarean sections. Okay, change of posture. It is said that left lateral position is more good for the progress of labor, because according to the pelvis axis, it is a favorable position. If patient in labor, have to always position the patient in left lateral supine position, so that it helps to descent of the baby. Okay. So what is the actual management? Actual management, we have to see for careful evaluation to be done to find out what is the cause of prolonged labor. You have to rule out. If the time span which we have limited for the first stage of labor, for the second stage of labor, if it is prolonged, then what is the cause? What is the cause? You have to rule out. Then effect on the mother. Is there any effect on the mother? Dehydration, ketoacidosis. Effect on the fetus, fetal distress, meconium, stent, liger, meconium pass. In nulliparous women, what is the most common cause for prolonged labor? It is inadequate uterine activity or primary dysfunction labor. Okay. In multiparous women, it is cephalopelvic disproportion, because it is a multiparous. So in the second pregnancy, in the first pregnancy, the time span is more. In the multiparous, the time span for the progress of labor is less. So if there is something which causes prolonged labor, usually it is cephalopelvic disproportion in multiparous. What is the definitive treatment? First stage delay. If only uterine activity is suboptimal, you have to start oxytocin infusion or amniotomy. In amniotomy, okay, amniotomy itself increases uterine contraction and secretion of the prostaglandins. Effective pain relief by even sometimes by giving tramadol or any pain analgesia, patient progress very well. Secondary arrest. If there is a secondary arrest, what do you mean by secondary arrest? Means when there is a initially there is prolonged labor, means the dilatation in the primary is 1 centimeter per hour and in multi is 1.5 centimeter per hour. It is slow, but it is not arrested completely. It's not stopped. Okay, it is prolonged. Okay, but secondary arrest means there is no dilatation for 2 hours, there is no descent for 2 hours. So you have to carefully use of oxytocin, and if needed, cesarean section delivery. Okay. Second stage delay. What is second stage delay? Means there is when second stage when full dilatation to the delivery of the baby, that is propulsive expulsive force which deliver the baby. So what second stage delay क्यों होता है? Short period of expectant management is in that there is no descent actually. In the second stage there is only descent of the baby. So I have told you 1 centimeter in primary and 2 centimeter in multi, it's the descent of the head. So short period of expected management is reasonable. So we will wait for 2 hours for the delivery for the head to come to the 0 station, and 1 hour for the multi to see for any is there a proper descent is occurring or not, and we have to see for the fetal heart rate. So short period of expected management is reasonable provided the fetal heart rate is reassuring and vaginal delivery is imminent. Otherwise, appropriate assisted delivery, that is by instrumental delivery, we have to do if the head is in +1 or in the 0 station, and instrument delivery we can do. If you think that it's not possible, you have to immediately take the patient for cesarean section. Difficult instrumental delivery should be avoided. If you think there is any confusion to use instrumental delivery, don't go for that. Immediate go for the cesarean section because it compromises the baby and the mother both. So just the prolonged labor management is just like completed here. I have given 3 examples. Okay, as you see in this patograph, patient has come at 5 centimeter dilatation. She came in labor with 5 centimeter dilatation, station S -3. Okay, so we have started patograph as patient has came in active labor. So how you will do vaginal examination? Usually we do vaginal examination when there is increased uterine contraction, fetal distress first, or only after 3 hours. Okay, to show the progress, or in active labor in 2 hours. So as you see in this, it's 5 centimeter dilatation, and in 5 centimeter 10 centimeter dilatation, we have done repeated only 3 times repeated vaginal examination has done at 5 centimeter, at 7 to 8 centimeter, and at 10 centimeter. Okay, and we have progressively see for the descent of the head, which is seen by the dotted lines. Okay, the cross line is shows a cervical dilatation, and the dotted line, 1 minute. See here, the cross line shows the cervical dilatation. Okay, 5 centimeter, 7 to 8 centimeter, and 10 centimeter. Okay, so their progress is good. The line of cervical dilatation is left to the alert line, as you see, and the descent in the patogram when the patient came, it is -3 station. So it is very high. So it descend with the gradual uterine contraction. The descent is also there, and at 11:30 around, she is at -2 station, and she is fully dilated, and head is in the perineum at 10 centimeter. That is at the 1:30 p.m. So have you seen? You have to see all the things. Fetal heart rate. As you see, the fetal heart rate is monitored here. For the Leica, for the membrane rupture or not. Here the I shows there is written I. It's not very clear. I means intact. The membrane is intact here, and here the membrane is ruptured, and the C is for the clear. Okay. And uterine contraction. As you see, the uterine contractions are weak. It is seen by the curved lines. And when it is very good contractions, it is dark lines. How you have defined uterine contractions? When in 10 minutes there are 3 contractions. When 10 minutes there are 3 contractions of at least 40 to 50 seconds, then it is a good uterine contractions. Okay. So have you seen in here the patient when is fully dilated, head is in the perineum at 0 station and 10 centimeter fully dilated, 10 centimeter and 0 station at the perineum, the contractions are very good and being delivered. Okay, at 30-20. Okay, 1:20 पे, ठीक है. So now in this way you have to monitor in the part. Now in this case, as you see, the patient has came at 4 centimeter dilatation in active labor, or maybe patient is in latent labor, and on repeated examination when the contractions are good, we have done repeated examination every 3 hour vaginal. If the patient have in latent labor, even then you have to do vaginal examinations. If she will go in labor, when you do vaginal examination, when the contractions increases. Okay, so you have to first abdominally monitor for the uterine contraction. Don't do repeated vaginal examination. Only we have to do vaginal examination when contractions are increases. Only then you think that there is maybe progress will be there and dilatation increases and cervical secretions. Okay, now when the patient is in 4 centimeter, she is in active labor. 4 cent. As you see, the dilatation is going towards the alert line. The progress of labor is slow, but it's not stopped. But so in 5 hours, it is only 2 centimeter dilatation, whereas we have know that 1 centimeter per hour in primary and 1.5 centimeter in multi. So according to 4 hours, it should be at least 8 centimeter. So it is not there. So it goes in the alert line. So what we will do now, in this case, what we will do? We will repeat it, see for the uterine contractions, fetal heart rate and pelvic assessment. To rule out, if there is a pure uterine contraction, you have to start the oxytocin or do amniotomy. If it is do pelvic assessment, if so, rule for any cephalopelvic disproportion or deflex head. Sometime in deflex head, it with the descent it flexed, but we have to monitor it properly. Na? See, okay, so it is only from 4, it is 6 centimeter dilatation in 4 hours, so it is less. So it goes in alert line. What you've seen, the contractions are very good, but the descent is, there is no descent. See, so we will again monitor the patient, है ना? And as you see, there is no dilatation after that. In 4 hours, there is no dilatation. It goes in action line. The contractions are good, so we don't have to give oxytocin. You just have to hydrate the patient and monitor for the fetal heart rate and descent and progress. In 4 hours, there is no progress and there is no descent also. So, and the fetal heart rate goes down. As you see, the here the it's less than 100. So we have, and the contractions are very good. So the patient is not prolonged labor. Even if we neglect this patient here, it will go in obstruction. So we have taken this patient for cesarean section. Okay. Similarly, here in the third case, the patient has came in 4 centimeter. It's not very clear, so listen me properly. The patient has came in 4 centimeter dilatation. Okay. Initially, there is the dilatation is not good. As you see in the 4 hour, the dilatation is still 4 centimeter, and the descent and the station of the head is at -5. Okay, it is very high up. So what we have seen, the contractions are not very good. So we have started oxytocin. Okay, so when we started oxytocin, the contraction gradually increases. Now, immediately the oxytocin, we start oxytocin by gradually increasing the dose by monitoring the uterine contractions. What is the effective contraction, you know? So for that amount of contraction, you have to gradually increase the amount of oxytocin every 30 minutes. And so here the drop rate is increases for 10, 20, 30, 40, 60, like this, according to the concentration of the, and we increase with the drop rate and we increase the concentration of oxytocin. So as the contractions increases, there is sharp dilatation, the increase in the dilatation from 4 centimeter in 3 hours, it is 6 centimeter. Okay, so it is in between the alert and action line, but the dilatation, it is slow, but it increases. So from 6 to 10 centimeters she delivered in 3 hours. Okay, so and the descent also increases. So what is the cause for wrong labor in this case? It's only poor uterine contractions. By giving oxytocin, we have ruled out the cause and we have delivered the patient. Okay, so according to the patograph and by monitoring, state monitoring, you can avoid prolonged labor, and do interventions needed at the proper time. Is there any question? You have any problem? Ask me now. Okay, I think that there is no question, there is no answer, no any doubts. Now, ma'am has told me to take face presentation and bro presentation today only, theoretical class, and when the Zoom we start, I will do one clinical demonstration of face presentation. 1 minute. So in face presentation, hello. Okay. As you have in face presentation, as you see in this Gudda pelvis, I have put this picture here only. What is face presentation? This is a rare variety of cephalic presentation where presenting path is face, not the occiput. So not the head vertex, but it is face. What is the attitude? Complete flexion of the limb. There is complete flexion of limb with extension of spine, so that occiput is in contact with the back. And what is the denominator? It is mentum, as you see in this picture. See, as you see in this picture, there is complete flexion of hand, limbs, okay, and the neck is extended. So the occiput is nearby to the back, and this is the mentum, and it is the denominator. Okay, it is the presenting part. The most common position is left mento-anterior, as right occipito-posterior is 5 times more common than left occipito-posterior. One thing I want to tell you that in the nature, try to be anterior. The denominator try to be anterior. Okay, the mentum will deliver, the face presentation will deliver when it is in the anterior. Okay, what is that? The denominator should be anterior, that is towards the pubic symphysis. So the most common position is left mento anterior. Why? I will, as right occipito-posterior is 5 times more. In mal position, in occipito-posterior position, it is not a normal position. Occipito-anterior is the most common position. In mal position or in the abnormal position, occipito-posterior is more common, and in that right occipito-posterior is more common. So right occipito-posterior in a baby which is right occipito-posterior, if something has happened and extension occur, not flexion, but extension has occurred, then it shift from right occipito-posterior to left mento-anterior. So it is more common, as I will tell you. In this, see in this picture, it is mento-posterior. Okay, it is not right or left, it is mento-posterior here. So right occipito, first picture I will tell you. See in this picture, you see the baby. If baby is an extended, the face, the neck is extended in this case. If it is flexed, completely flexed, what is the position? It will be the right occipito-posterior. ठीक है? अगर इसी flexed head को आप extend कर दो because of any cause, the mentum will come anterior, and the presentation will be the face. So in that case, mentum is denominator, so the direction is depend on the mentum. It is a denominator. So when extension, the face will be the presentation, denominator will be the mentum, and the direction should be the left mento-anterior, as it is right and it is left. Okay, so it is left mento-anterior, as you see. So occipito-posterior position always come as mento-anterior. So in mal position, left occipito-posterior is more common. Right occipito-posterior is more common. So the left mento-anterior is more common in face presentation. Okay, because face is not always because of any cause. Face presentation is normal. It is not a normal position. As you see in this case, it is occipito-anterior. As you see, if it is flexed, it is occipito-anterior. So it will go in face presentation mento-posterior. The direction will be changed. It is in the right side, it will be then left side. Okay. So right occipito-posterior will change into left mento-anterior. Occipital posterior come anterior. So left mento anterior, it is the most common, and left occipital posterior, right mento anterior, right occipital anterior change into left mento posterior, and left occipital anterior change into right mento posterior, as you see in this case, possible if you are able to understand. So what are the causes? Primary, it is during pregnancy. Primary causes which occur during the position, the malpresentation occurred during pregnancy. It is usually fetal cause, like congenital malformation. In anencephaly, what happened in anencephaly? The neck is absent and the cranium is absent. So the face will be the more prominent part, and it will come down, and the head will not flex and it extended and cause face presentation. Goiter, extension occur. Dolichocephaly, diameter of the head is more. Bronchospasm, and twisted cord around neck. In twisted cord of neck is when there is 2-3 tight loop of cord around the neck, it causes extension of the neck. Hypertonicity of sensor group of neck, it is congenital cause. Secondary during labor, in multiparity, what happened? The head not engaged initially, it is deflexed. So with action, as you know, in the normal labor, what happened? First there engagement, then there is flexion, descent, flexion, like this. So in multiparity, what happened? Engagement occur late during labor only. So in the pendulous abdomen, the abdomen muscles are not very taut, and it cause not complete flexion of the head, and if it is very deflexed, then it may goes into extension of the neck, and deflexed head, more extension may cause face presentation. Lateral obliquity of the uterus. Lateral obliquity of uterus में क्या होता है? During labor, the axis is deviated. So if the axis is deviated, the head will not flexed. Okay, head will not completely flex. It may goes extension. Extend हो जाएगा. Extend होने से face presentation हो सकता है, bro हो सकता है. Contracted pelvis. In the same contracted pelvis, initially the head is not completely flexed before labor. Only sometime in primary, when the head is engaged before labor, it is flexed, or usually there is asynclitism, and during labor it goes down with flexion. So in contracted pelvis, what happened? The pelvis, the space is less. So in deflexed head with contraction, there is resistance from the pelvic floor. The flexion will not occur and extension occur and cause face presentation. Not in every case, sometimes. Flat pelvis, the same problem. Pelvic tumor, if pelvic tumor is in the lower pelvis, it may cause extension of the head. So in case of face presentation, the diameter of engagement is oblique diameter. Okay, oblique diameter, and that is submentobergmentic, 9.5 centimeter. It is right oblique diameter in left mento anterior and left and right mento anterior. Mentum, one pubic eminence. Where is the mentum? Mentum is the denominator. It is present in the one pubic eminence and glabella opposite sacroiliac joint. Okay, मैं दिखाऊंगी. Engagement is delayed because of the long distance between the mentum and biparatal plane, that is 7 centimeter. Whereas when it is vertex presentation, the distance between the occiput and the biparental is only 3 centimeter. So when the distance is come, so it completely flex and get engaged. इसमें नहीं होता, deflex extension होता है. Descent with increasing extension, descent occur till chin touches the pelvic floor. Further descent occur till submentum hinges under the pubic arch. Internal rotation occur through 1/8. Normally most common is the left mento anterior. So I will tell you in that one in mento anterior. So it will internal rotation occur by 1/8 of circle, and the mentum hinge the pubic behind the pubic symphysis, and the baby will deliver by flexion. So I will tell you in this, and see, with the contraction there is descent of the head occur. With the descent of head occur, normally in a occiput, in a vertex presentation, flexion occur, but in case of face presentation, extension occur. See, as extension occur, it comes up to the pelvic floor, and when it touches the pelvic floor, internal rotation occur. When internal rotation occur, as the mentum is anterior, okay, in one of the pubic eminence, okay, one of the pubic touches the pubic eminence. When it touches the pelvic floor, do the internal rotation See, in that case, this is mentoposterior. In this case, see, this is mentoanterior. So when it touches the mentum, touches the pelvic floor, internal rotation occur, and it comes forward. The mentum lies behind the pubic symphysis. It hinges behind the pubic symphysis with good uterine contraction. It delivered by flexion. In vertex, it delivered by extension. But in case of phase presentation, it delivered by flexion. How? First, when the baby first deliver the chin, then lips, nose, then the vertex, then the occiput. Okay, so ऐसे deliver होगा. She will deliver like this: chin, nose, vertex, and occiput, like this. Okay, see, there is a flexion. As you see, this is a flexion. But in case of vertex presentation, first the head will come, and head will come and she deliver like this, opposite. See, there is when she deliver like flexion. The head will flex. Okay. So in case of mentoposterior, the delivery is very difficult because mentum has to come anterior to deliver. It's very difficult to deliver when mentum is in posterior and behind the sacrum. So as in the mentoposterior, the head face has to rotate, internal rotation occur by 3/8 circle, and it's very difficult to sometimes because of the pelvis, because of big size baby. In a small baby it can happen, but in a big size baby and pelvis, not a very good pelvis, it's very difficult to rotate by 3/8 circle because there was too much of rotation and too much of neck torch हो जाता है. ठीक है. See, so the mentoposterior 1/8 circle, 2/8 by circle, 3/8 circle. So 3/8 circle you have to rotate the in phase presentation to come so that mentum come behind the pubic symphysis. So in 20-30% cases anterior rotation of mentum occur and patient delivered by flexion. Baby delivered in flexion. In 70-80% cases there is non-rotation. There is no rotation. Incomplete anterior rotation or short posterior rotation. Arrest occur in all these positions. Average size pelvis and fetal head is very difficult. If the baby size is small and the good pelvis, only then it can happen. In short posterior rotation delivery, there is no possibility of spontaneous delivery in mentoposterior because short neck cannot clear off the total length of the sacrum, that is 12 centimeter. In the short posterior rotation delivery, ठीक है, short neck. See, I have given हाँ. As such, thoracic thrust is result. See, in this case, this is a mento anterior. Patient deliver. Okay. But in case of mentoposterior, as you say, with the descent, there is more extension occur. And when the more extension occur, the diameter of the transverse diameter of the pelvis is only 12 centimeter. From this 12 centimeter, the baby has to deliver. So when it descend down in the pelvis, in the cavity, the diameter, transverse diameter of the fetus is from mentosternum, that is 18 centimeter. See, in the mentoposterior, in the persistent mentoposterior, it is not rotated. The mentum is posterior, is behind the sacrum. In this, the diameter is 18 centimeter, and this 18 centimeter diameter is so much that the baby will not deliver. More extension will occur, okay, and baby will go in distress. So in this case, delivery will not occur. We have to take the patient for cesarean section. In this is what happened. We will monitor the patient with partograph. We see for the descent of the head. Okay, descent of the head, contractions, and you will see there is no descent of head. There is no dilatation. Even dilatation will not occur because there is not proper pressure from dilatation helped by the membrane, by the fetal head. Both there is no proper fetal head cover up the cervix. So there is no dilatation. Okay. So what are the complications? Obstetrical labor में चल जाएगी. Sometimes there is cord prolapse, facial bruising हो जाती है, cerebral hemorrhage. These are the cause. So in this you have seen phase presentation. I have told you mentum will be the denominator and it is behind the pubic eminence, and occiput is in behind the sacral promontory, the left sacroiliac joint, sorry. So in this fetal head I have told you that this is the mentum and this is the mento-vertical, this is the brow presentation, and some mento-brachmatic is the diameter of engagement in case of face presentation. When it is brow presentation, it is mento-vertical, that is 13.5 centimeter. And in case of occiput and suboccipito-brachmatic, that is vertex, that is this suboccipito-brachmatic is 9.5 centimeter. Now brow presentation. In the brow presentation, the fetal head is partially extended. When there is complete extension, it is a face presentation. When partial extension occur, brow presentation. With the frontal bone, which is partially extended with the frontal bone, which is bounded by the anterior frontal and the orbital ridges lying at the pelvic brim. The presenting diameter is the mento-vertical, what I have told you just now, 13.5 centimeter, which exceed all the diameter in average side. Have you seen in cavity? Cavity is the most spacious part in the pelvis, and the diameter is 12 centimeter transverse, 12 centimeter oblique diameter, 12 centimeter AP diameter. So even in that case, the head will not go down because the engaging diameter is 13.5 centimeter. Is a very big diameter. The baby will not go, and the baby will go in obstruction. So in that case, diagnose. How will you diagnose? It's very difficult to diagnose during pregnancy, but by doing palpation you will see the breach, in the pelvic grip you will see that occiput and sinciput will be felt at the same level. When the occiput and sinciput is felt at the same level, that there is a deflection. We can't say that it is a brow presentation, but it's a deflex head. Okay, ultrasonography and X-ray may be helpful, but it's not usually done. So the diagnosis of brow presentation is usually done during labor. As you will see para-abdomen examination for the occiput and sinciput, it will, when you do the pelvic rim, the occiput will be feel and the sinciput also will feel simultaneously. So your doubt will be there is a deflex head. In vaginal examination, what you will see, when the membrane is ruptured, sometimes when membrane is not ruptured, even then you will see for the three things. Frontal bone. Can you understand by this diagram? This is a cervix. Okay, and on doing PV examination, you will find the ridges, the root of the nose, and the frontal bone. When you feel this, then it is a brow presentation. Okay, so frontal bone, supraorbital ridges, root of the nose, but not the chin. That is very important, but not the chin. So because sometimes you will confuse with the, it is a face, but in face presentation, what you feel. Nose, the tip of nose is very clearly you can understand. Mouth, when you put the finger inside, the baby will suck your finger. And the eyes, sometimes because of so much of obstruction, the edema occur in the around the eyes, so it's very difficult to understand. But tip of nose and the gum of teeth, the gum of teeth is very clearly you can differentiate. That is the face presentation. Okay, and this is the brow presentation. So persistent brow, the engagement diameter is the mento-vertical 13.5 centimeter, which is longer than any diameter of the inlet. So there is no mechanism of labor, and labor is obstructed. Transient brow means may occur during conversion of vertex into face presentation. So if brow is flexed to become vertex or extended to become face, it may deliver, but it's very rare. Okay, it only occur in a very small baby. Early in the first stage, exclude contracted pelvis if present. If you think that it's a brow presentation patient is in labor, see for the pelvic. If the pelvis is very good, you can wait and watch, so that it may convert into vertex presentation or in a face presentation. In face presentation, mento anterior can deliver. Okay, so exclude contracted pelvis if present, do cesarean section. The case is considered as transient brow. Observe carefully. Give a chance for spontaneous conversion into either face or vertex. Monitor with polygraph. Early diagnose prolonged labor and avoid any obstruction without any fetal distress. Try and the baby will not go into stress. In the second stage, the case is considered as persistent brow. In the second stage, in the first stage, I am telling you can wait and watch for dilatation for the changing according to, with the contraction, the descent occur and it will change into phase and vertex. In second stage, it is considered as persistent growth. Cesarean section is done if the fetus is live. Craniotomy is now abundant. It's not done now. Even it is obstructed and bro presentation and the baby is not live. Now cesarean section is usually done because craniotomy cause maternal injuries and sometimes very much hazardous for the mother. Maternal death may occur. Okay. So I have completed here face and bro presentation. Any question you have, you can ask me. You don't have any question now. I will go for obstructed labor. Are you ready for that? I have time for that. Okay. So I have told you prolonged labor, face and bro presentation can go in obstruction. So obstructed labor. What is obstructed labor? When obstructed labor is when in spite of good uterine contraction, the progressive descent of the presenting part is arrested due to mechanical obstruction. Okay, this may result either due to factor in the fetus or in the birth canal or both. Okay, so that further progress is almost impossible without assistance. So there is always a passage or a passenger which causes obstruction. Causes bony भी हो सकते हैं. Bony means cephalopelvic disposition, the contracted pelvis. Cephalopelvic disposition, the baby, maybe the pelvis is not good or the head is very big or the baby is very big. Secondary contracted pelvis may be incontinent in multiparous women because of fibrosis. Soft tissue obstruction, this includes cervical dissociation due to prolapse or previous operative scarring, cervical or broad ligament fibroid, impacted ovarian tumors, non-gravid horn of the uterus which can obstruct below the uterus, below the presenting part. Transverse live bro presentation, face presentation. So in face presentation, anteroposterior, congenital malformation fetus, hydrocephalus, fetal ascites, big size baby, occipital posterior position, compound presentation, locked twins, these all can cause obstruction. So how will you diagnose? We will diagnose by partograph, by monitoring. Partograph will recognize impending obstruction early. If the labor is slow to progress, carefully do general examination, abdominal and vaginal examination to rule out if the progress it is prolonged or it's not able to progress. Okay, women give the history of prolonged labor in the previous pregnancy. The labor pain becomes severe and frequent with bearing down. In this pregnancy also, if patient is referred from somewhere else. So examination, on general examination, how we will see what I am saying. In women give the history of prolonged labor. If patient has referred from somewhere else with a good uterine contraction, maybe she had come with 4-5 centimeter dilatation. Okay, and you will do pelvic assessment. And at that time, how will you diagnose that patient is already in obstruction? So in that case, you will take the history. Patient will give history that she is in labor since 2 days or 1 day, 24 hours, 12 hours with a good uterine contraction. The labor pain becomes severe and frequent, and there is a very good uterine contractions. Sometimes, as I have told you, fatigue contractions, 3 contractions in 10 minutes or 40 seconds. Sometimes there is 4 to 5 contractions also. There is hyperstimulation, you can say. So in general examination, how you will diagnose that if she is going obstruction? There is a maternal distress. Patient will be exhausted, dehydrated, ketoacidosis, acidotic breath will be there. On doing ABG, will see that she is going in acidosis. Tachycardia, okay, more than 100 pulse per minute raise, and temperature, there is ray temperature also. The color of the urine is dark and scanty as she is dehydrated. On per abdomen examination, you will see there is very good contractions. Okay, there is presence of bundle ring. How will you differentiate it is a bundle ring? I will give you a picture of that. The retraction ring is seen and felt between the tonically contracted upper segment of the uterus and the distended, tender and stretched lower segment. And the bladder is also distended. When you when you try to catheterize these obstructed patient, it's very difficult. Sometimes patient, we are not able to catheterize them properly. Properly means we are not able to catheterize them because of the obstruction. And fetal heart sound shows evidence of fetal distress or even absent. So you see in the normal labor what happened during labor, there is uterine abdominal contraction, there is uterine contractions with voluntary abdominal contractions. So it helped to push the baby down from the pelvis. So with the good uterine contractions with the voluntary abdominal muscles, there is contraction and retraction. So what helped to push the baby down is the retraction, power of retraction, contraction, dilatation and retraction. See, there is a upper segment and there is a lower segment. With the contractions, the upper segment contract and retract in size, and there is gradually dilatation of the lower segment occur. So it helps to push the baby down. There is contraction, there is retraction. See, the muscle contracted, and there is dilatation on the lower segment. What happened? It is normal labor. What happened in obstructed? Obstructed, there is some obstruction in the lower part, in the lower pole, in the cavity, or in the head of the baby. The baby size is good. So what happened? Or face presentation, anything, baby head or pelvis. So there is contraction, dilatation of the lower segment. With the power of retraction, there is contractions of the upper segment and relaxation and the dilatation of the lower segment. So when there is obstruction in the lower part, there is ballooning of the lower segment occur, thinning of the lower segment. It will thin out, and there is edema of the bladder also happen. And at that time, when the upper segment contracted and lower segment dilated, the Bendel ring will form. See, this is the Bendel ring. This is the position of the Bendel's ring shape. You can see there is two rings, two bulging is there. Okay, so this is the Bendel ring. There is contraction of the upper segment and ballooning and dilatation, thinning of the lower segment occur. If it is neglected, rupture will happen. Because of the thinning of the lower segment, it will rupture, and the patient will tell you about there is some give way. There is a give way of the baby, and the pain will subside. So here see, this is the Bendel ring, this is the Bendel's, this is the Bendel's, this is the upper segment or uterine segment which is contracted, and this is the lower segment, this is which is distended, and there is bladder. This is also the bladder. Bladder will not evacuate in case of obstructed labor. It's very much difficult. Only after delivery of baby it will drain out. The urine will drain out. On vaginal examination, the vulva usually swollen and edematous because of the repeated PV examinations. For those, as the patient will come from periphery, so much of repeated PV examination done, it's very much swollen, edematous, and sometimes vaginal trauma is also there. So the vagina is dry, hot, and occasionally offensive and purulent discharge also because of repeated examination. The cervix is almost fully dilated or hanging like a curtain. When it happens, when it is hanging like a curtain, usually when the head is not well applied over the cervix, when the head is very up and severe contracted pelvis, the head is very up, cervix is completely hanging like a curtain. And second, when it is ruptured, when it gets ruptured, the baby will go up outside into the abdomen, the uterus will contract, and the cervix hang like a curtain. This is usually and when obstruction there is caput, always there is a caput, and molding is there in the head, fetal head. How we will prevent it? Proper assessment of pregnant women during ANC. Rule out any high risk pregnancy. Okay, high risk means any pelvic tumor with anencephaly and all that. You have to, with regular ANC visit, you have to rule out. Proper pelvic assessment in early labor and after 37 weeks to detect the cause if any. Usually it is a routine now that in third trimester, not in every institute, but usually it is done in the pelvic assessment done after 37 weeks to early assess for any contracted pelvis. And mild cephalopelvic disproportion you can give trial, but in case of moderate to severe cephalopelvic disproportion, you will not go will not give trial in the labor, you will take the patient for cesarean section. So strictly follow up with partograph, prompt follow appropriate treatment to solve the problem. Okay. Curative, immediate management, general management and obstetric management. Immediate, what you will do, a patient will come in with obstruction, you will see all the on examination that patient is so much dehydrated, ketoacidosis will be there, tachycardia, high risk symptoms. Start correct the maternal dehydration, correct. So maternal hydration will be there. Correct the maternal dehydration. Contractions prevent by tocolytic agent. Try to decrease the contractions. Blood samples sent for grouping and cross matching. Because we have to take the patient for cesarean section and there is a risk of rupture also. The bleeding will be more. Assessment of the vitals of mother and general condition. IV fluid to correct dehydration. Broad spectrum antibiotics because maybe there is repeated vagina examination. The risk of sepsis more in the postpartum. Catheterization if it possible. Sodium bicarbonate infusion to correct acidosis. Delivery of the fetus, vaginal delivery, normally dead fetus, destructive operation, not usually do now. Destructive operations are now stopped because of the much of the maternal risk. If head is low and vaginal delivery is, if not risky but not in obstructed is not usually done, we usually take the patient for cesarean section. Forceps extraction may be done in alive fetus also. It is only done when you think that there is less risk of fetal injury. Only in that case you can use forceps. Cesarean section, alive fetus and over-distended lower segment with impending rupture if the fetus is dead. Cesarean section is done in every fetus, alive fetus, and if there is risk of rupture, we actually nowadays cesarean section is prefer in everything. Destructive operations, forceps extraction is avoided. Forceps extraction only used when you think that she will deliver and there is no risk to the fetus and the maternal to the mother without any maternal perineal injuries. Active management of third stage of labor. As patient is in so much of obstruction, there is very much contractions. So maybe after delivery of the baby, patient may go in postpartum hemorrhage. So we have to deal with active management of third stage by using oxytocin. Sometimes we have to use misoprost, methergine and prostaglandin also. Continuous bladder drainage for 2 to 3 days prevent BBF. Sometimes क्या होता है, at the time of cesarean section there is edematous bladder but there is no rupture of the bladder, but because of the constant push of the uterus, push of the head over the bladder, there is necrosis occur at the point of their contact because of so much of contractions and obstruction. So much of obstruction, the bladder will obstruct. At the point of obstruction with the fetal head, the bladder, there is ischemia at that site, and after the delivery where cesarean section, or there is chance that the bladder part which is on contact with the head, the ischemia necrosis occur and slough out, and the risk of vesicovaginal fistula at that site is possible. So for that, to prevent that, for proper healing, we catheterize the patient for 3 days, sometimes 7 days also. For what are the complications? Maternal rupture of uterus, vesicovaginal, rectovaginal fistula also, postpartum hemorrhage, puerperal sepsis, shock, maternal death. Fetal causes: intrauterine asphyxia, fetal death, intracranial hemorrhage, neonatal infection, acidosis. ओके, जल्दी तो नहीं पढ़ाया मैंने, ठीक है. एनी डाउट? See, if I am taking your class, I want to know that you are able to understand or not. Okay, if there is something problem, you have to tell me. If you're in any doubt, I'm very fast or something else. So there is no doubt. Okay, good.